The ability of living organisms to give rise to the young ones of their own kind is reproduction. There are two major modes of reproduction. First one, asexual reproduction, that means without mixing. And secondly, sexual reproduction, that is mixing or fusion of genetic material of male and female gametes. In angiosperms, vegetative propagation, that means asexual, and sexual reproduction through production of flower are the main modes of reproduction. However, in lower organisms, there are many different methods of asexual reproduction. First one, binary fission. Parent cell divides to produce two equal cells that give rise to two new individuals. Example, amoeba. Then budding. The division is unequal and small cells, that means buds, are produced that remain attached initially to the parent cell. Eventually, the small cells, that means the buds, get separated and mature into new individuals. Example, yeast. Then spore formation. Different types of motile and non-motile spores are produced by algae and fungi. Mostly, algae produce motile spores called zoospores. Example, Chlamydomonas, while fungi produce non-motile spores called conidia. Example, Penicillium. Then fragmentation. Filamentous algae reproduce by fragmentation. That means filaments get broken into small fragments and each fragment develops into new individual. The main feature of asexual reproduction is it is uniparental. That means only one parent is involved. Now asexual reproduction, that is vegetative propagation in angiosperms. The reproduction which occurs without involving meiosis and fusion of gametes is asexual reproduction. In angiosperms, it occurs through the parts of vegetative organs like root, stem, leaf or buds of a plant, and therefore it is vegetative propagation. These vegetative parts which act as propagules have adequate reserve food material and at least a growing point. The propagule grows to form an independent plant under favorable conditions. These are few natural methods of vegetative propagation. First, root tuber. It is a modification of root for vegetative reproduction. The roots develop from the nodes of stem. They become tuberous and fleshy for storage of food. These also develop adventitious buds on their surface which sprout under favorable condition to produce leafy shoot and adventitious roots. Under suitable environmental conditions, these leafy shoots separate and develop into new plants. The tuberous roots are adventitious and when produced singly, they are simple tuberous roots, example sweet potato, and when produced in groups or cluster, these are fasciculated tuberous roots, example dahlia. Then stem tuber. Stem tuber is a modified stem for vegetative reproduction. Some lateral branches are produced from underground part of stem which grow down in the soil. The tip of these branches store food and hence they are swollen. These tubers show nodes, internodes, scale leaves and axillary buds. A stem tuber has many notches on its surface called eye. The eyes are seen on the surface of the tuber represent nodes. Each eye, which is actually a node, is made up of one or more axillary buds subtended by a leaf scar. Under favorable conditions, axillary buds develop into new plants. Example, potato plant, Solanum tuberosum. Vegetative propagation by runner. Runner is a slender, prostrate, subaerial branch with short or long internode and creeps horizontally on the soil. Runner develops from the axillary bud in the axil of the lowest leaf. After creeping some distance away from the parent leaf, it produces shoot from upper side and roots from lower side of the nodes. Many runners are produced by the parent plant which may get detached from parent plant to develop into new plant. Example, cynodon. Vegetative propagation by leaf. The leaves are fleshy and notched along the margin. Adventitious buds called epiphyllous buds are developed on the leaves. These buds start sprouting on the leaf to form plantlets. These plantlets fall off from parent plant to continue their growth in the soil. Example, bryophyllum. Now about some artificial methods of vegetative propagation. First, cutting. It is a process by which a plant is produced by cutting a vegetative portion from the parent plant and growing it in a suitable medium under favorable conditions. Some of the common cuttings are root cutting, apple; stem cutting, sugarcane; leaf cutting, bryophyllum. Then grafting. It is an art of joining parts of two plants in such a way that they unite and continue their growth as one plant, that is composite plant. It is a characteristic feature of dicotyledonous plants which have cambium for secondary growth. Monocots do not have inter or interfascicular cambium, so they don't show secondary growth, so grafting is not possible. Part of the rooted plant on which grafting is done is called stalk. Part which is inserted on stalk is scion. The stalk and scion should be mutually compatible. The success of grafting depends upon match of cambium between stalk and scion, which results in organic connection between them. The stalk provides root and scion becomes shoot of new plant. Stalk usually has strong root system while scion has strong desired characters of flowers and fruits. Cut surface should be held together tightly by wrapping. Common methods of grafting are tongue, that is whip grafting, wedge grafting, crown grafting. Then budding. It is a type of grafting in which bud is a scion. Here, a single bud along with a piece of bark is used as scion. In the stalk, T or I-shaped incision is made up to the bark. A single bud with little bark is then inserted in the slit of the stalk. Both are tied by polythene. Bud germinates after 3 weeks and a new plant is produced. Example, rose. Then, micropropagation. It is the practice of rapidly multiplying plant material to produce a large number of progeny plants using modern plant tissue culture method. In this technique, new plants are raised from small pieces of tissue on a culture medium under aseptic conditions. Tissue develops into an undifferentiated mass of cells called callus, which is maintained and multiplied indefinitely. When small portion of callus tissues are transferred to another suitable medium containing growth hormones, they develop into small plantlets or micropropagules. These are then transplanted in pots or soil. The micropropagules are genetically identical, that means clones. Advantages of vegetative propagation. More rapid, easier and cheaper method of propagation. Possible to obtain clones. Helps to retain desirable characters in plant which may not be possible in plants raised from seeds. Easy to get rid of pathogen from any part of plant by vegetative propagation. Demerits of vegetative propagation. Cannot produce new variety. The plants raised through vegetative propagation have short lifespan. Then, sexual reproduction. Angiosperms are commonly called flowering plants because they produce a prominent, highly specialized organ called flower for sexual reproduction. So first, structure of flower. A typical flower consists of a stalk called pedicel, thalamus, and 4 whorls as calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Androecium and gynoecium are essential whorls because they take part in sexual reproduction by forming male and female gamete respectively. Calyx and corolla are called non-essential whorls because they do not take part in sexual reproduction. Pedicel is the stalk of flower. Thalamus is known as torus, which is highly condensed shoot and shows presence of 4 nodes and 3 internodes. Each node gives rise to floral whorl. Calyx, it is the outermost whorl of the flower, which is made up of green colored sepals. It protects the flower in bud condition and being green performs the function of photosynthesis. Corolla, it is the largest second whorl of the flower inner to calyx made up of brightly colored petals. It attracts insect for pollination and protects inner whorls. Androecium, it is essential whorl of flower inner to corolla. It is male reproductive part of flower and made up of stamens. Each stamen is made up of filament and anther. Structure of anther. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of the flower. It consists of 2 parts, filament and anther. Filament is basal, sterile, slender stalk, while anther is upper, sac-like, fertile part. Anther consists of 2 lobes, sometimes 1 lobe. Each anther lobe has 2 pollen sacs or pollen chambers. Joining the 2 anther lobes is a strip of sterile tissue called connective. Inside the anther lobes are produced large number of pollen grains. So function of stamen, it produces pollen grains and the pollen grain develops into male gametophyte with 2 male gametes. This is TS of anther. Internally, anther shows first anther wall. The anther wall is divided into 1. Epidermis, it is outermost protective layer, and 2. Endothecium, it is present below the epidermis. It shows fibrous thickening of callus. The fibrous thickening help in the dehiscence of anther at maturity. Middle layers, they lie inner to endothecium. 1 to 3 layers of parenchyma cells are present surrounding the sporogenous tissue of microsporangium. Cells of these layers degenerate at maturity. Then tapetum, it is the innermost layer of anther wall present along the pollen sac. It provides nutrition to the developing pollen grains. It also contributes in formation of sporopollenin, that is component of pollen exine. Then microsporangium or pollen sac. Anther is bilobe structure and each lobe consists of 2 sporangia or pollen sacs at 4 corners. Pollen sacs contain number of diploid sporangious cells which divides mitotically to form microspore mother cells. Each diploid microspore mother cell undergoes meiotic division to form 4 haploid microspores or pollen grains. Structure of pollen grain. It is partially developed male gametophyte. A pollen grain is a spherical structure with 2 walls. The outer thick and rough wall is exine, while inner thin and smooth wall is intine. The exine shows 1 or more pores called germ pores. Exine is made up of complex substance called sporopollenin, which protects pollen grain. Initially, the pollen grain is unicellular and uninucleate, but at maturity it divides by mitosis to form 2 haploid cells. The larger cells is called tube cell, which has a tube nucleus, and the smaller is generative cell, which has a generative nucleus. The generative nucleus eventually divides mitotically to form 2 non-motile male gametes. Development of male gametophyte. The microspore or pollen grain is the first cell of the male gametophyte. The development is endosporic and monosporic. It is completed in two stages. First, before pollination in the pollen sac. The protoplast of pollen grain divides mitotically to form two unequal cells, that is, a small generative cell and a large vegetative or tube cell. The generative cell has a large nucleus, thin cytoplasm and lacks reserve food and vacuole. The vegetative or tube cell has a large vacuole, thick cytoplasm, nucleus and reserve food. In most angiosperms, pollen grains are released at two-celled stage after dehiscence of anther. Such two-celled pollen grains are called young or partially developed male gametophyte. In some angiosperms, the generative cell divides by mitosis to form two male gametes and therefore three-celled pollen grains are released from anther. Then next stage, after pollination on the stigma. After pollination, the two-celled pollen grain gets deposited on the stigma and absorbs the sugary stigmatic secretion. Due to this, volume of cytoplasm increases, thus creating a pressure on the intine. The intine comes out in the form of a tube-like structure called pollen tube through the germ pore. The tube nucleus, cytoplasm and generative cell all migrate into the pollen tube. The pollen tube grows through the style towards the ovule due to some chemical stimulus inside the ovary. The generative cell of the pollen grain divides by mitosis and forms two haploid non-motile gametes. The pollen tube consisting of two male gametes and a degenerating tube nucleus represents the male gametophyte. Now, structure of anatropous ovule. Gynoecium is the female reproductive floral whole having individual members called carpels. Each carpel consists of ovary, style and stigma, and ovary encloses one or more ovules in it. Ovule is the egg containing organ within the ovary called integumented megasporangium. The ovule is attached to placenta by means of a stalk called funiculus or funicle. The point of attachment of funicle to the ovule is called hilum. In anatropous ovule, major part of funicle remains attached to the body of the ovule, forming a ridge called raphe. Second part, body of ovule. Funicle bears swollen part at its tip called body of ovule. It is made of following parts: nucleus, which is the central major part of ovules, made up of parenchymatous tissues 2n. Female gametophyte or embryo sac. Then chalaza, it is the basal part of nucleus. Then micropyle, this is a narrow opening left by integuments at terminal end of nucleus. Integuments, the protective covering of nucleus. Embryo sac, it is 8 nucleated and 7-celled structure. It consists of egg apparatus. It is a group of 3 cells towards micropylar end. The central cell is the female gamete. Then secondary nucleus, it is diploid structure formed by fusion of 2 polar nuclei. Then antipodal cells, it is a group of 3 cells towards chalazal end. Now functions of different parts of ovule. Funicle, it attaches the ovule to the placenta and draws nourishment from placenta. Nucleus, it gives rise to embryo sac. Micropyle, it forms a passage for pollen tube before fertilization. It also serves as entry for water during seed germination. Integuments, it protects the nucleus and embryo sac. It develops into seed coat. Embryo sac, it gives rise to female gamete. Egg apparatus, after fertilization egg gives rise to diploid zygote which later develops into embryo. Secondary nucleus, after fertilization it converts into a triploid primary endosperm nucleus. Then antipodal cells, After fertilization, they degenerate and act as nutritive tissue. Now, development of female gametophyte. In a young ovule, a single hypodermal cell differentiates to form archisporial cells. These cells are diploid and collectively called as nucleus. At maturity, one of the archisporial cells acts as megaspore mother cell and undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores arranged in a linear tetrad. The formation of megaspore is megasporogenesis. Out of the 4 haploid megaspore, upper 3 towards micropylar end degenerate and one at the base remains functional. It is the first cell of female gametophyte. The functional megaspore enlarges and undergoes mitotic nuclear division to produce 2 nuclei. These nuclei migrate to opposite poles of the megaspore. At each pole, nucleus divides twice to form 4 nuclei, 4 at each pole. The functional megaspore enlarges gradually and becomes 8-nucleate embryo sac. The 2 nuclei, one from each pole, that is polar nuclei, migrate to the center and fuse to form diploid secondary nucleus. The 3 nuclei at the chalazal end form antipodal cells, while the 3 at the micropylar end form egg apparatus, of which one in center is egg and the other 2 are synergids. The embryo sac is 7-celled and 8-nucleated, called polygonum type. The development of female gametophyte in angiosperms is completely endosporic, that is within the megaspore, and monosporic as female gametophyte develops from a single megaspore. Then pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of flower is pollination. The 2 main agencies for pollination are abiotic agencies, that means physical factors like wind and water. Then biotic agencies, living organisms like insects and birds. Then types of pollination. First, self-pollination, autogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of same flower or a different flower having same genetic makeup. The self-pollination is of 2 types. 1. Autogamy. It occurs between anther and stigma of the same flower, example pea. Then geitonogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anthers of one flower to stigma of another flower of either the same or genetically similar plant. Example, cucurbits. Then cross-pollination, that is allogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower produced on a different plant having dissimilar genetic makeup with the help of external agents like wind, water, insects, etc. There are 2 subtypes of cross-pollination. 1. Xenogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower produced on a different plant belonging to the same species. Example, papaya. Then hybridization. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower produced on a different plant belonging to a different variety, subspecies or species. Example, pollination between 2 species or varieties of cotton. Agencies of pollination. On the basis of agents involved, pollination is of following types. 1. Anemophily. Pollination carried out by wind. Flowers are small and numerous. Inflorescence or flowers may be pendant so that they may swing. Stamens possess long filaments and anthers are versatile. Pollen grains are smooth, dry, light in weight and are produced in large numbers. Example, maize. Then hydrophily. The pollination is carried out by water. The flowers are small, inconspicuous and unisexual. Floral parts and pollen grains are unweightable, that means they are coated with mucilage. The pollen grains have specific gravity equal or slightly greater than water. Stigma is long and sticky. Example, Felisneria. Then entomophily. Pollination carried out by insects. Flowers are large and attractive. They have pleasant fragrance and nectar gland. Pollen grains possess spiny or rough outer wall. Stigma has rough and sticky surface. Example, jasmine rose. Ornithophily. Pollination carried out by birds. Flowers are large with thick and fleshy floral part. Corolla is tubular or funnel shaped. Flowers are bright color for attracting the birds. Pollen grains are sticky. Example, bottle brush, that is callistemon. Chiropterophily. Pollination takes place with the help of bats. Flowers are large, stout enough so that bats can hold on to the flowers. The plants are nocturnal, that means open their flowers during night time. Flowers have large number of stamens to produce large quantity of pollen grains. Example, kadamba. Next we'll see about pollen-pistil interaction. Following compatible pollination, the pollen grain germinates on the stigma and produces a pollen tube through one of the germ pores. The content of the pollen grain move into the pollen tube. Pollen tube grows through the tissues of the stigma and style and reaches the ovary. Pollen tube, after reaching the ovary, enters the ovule through the micropyle and then enters one of the synergids through the filiform apparatus. This apparatus guides the entry of pollen tube. All these events are together referred as pollen-pistil interaction. The ability of pistil to recognize the pollen is due to certain chemical components present in the pollen grain which interact with those of the pistil. Now we'll turn to double fertilization. The fusion of one male gamete with egg and that of another male gamete with secondary nucleus is called double fertilization. It is the characteristic feature of angiosperms. When the pollen tube enters through the micropylar end of the ovule of fertilization, it is called porogamy. Sometimes it may enter through integuments and called mesogamy. Sometimes through chalaza and called chalazogamy. Filiform apparatus of synergids attract the pollen tube towards egg apparatus. As the pollen tube elongates, it carries with it two haploid non-motile male gametes and hence the fertilization is called siphonogamy. On piercing the nucleus, the pollen tube penetrates the embryo sac. Its tip penetrates the embryo sac and reaches the egg apparatus, passing either between the egg and synergids or between one synergid and wall of embryo sac. Ultimately, the tip of the pollen tube bursts and two male gametes are discharged. The tube nucleus deorganizes before bursting of pollen tube. One of these male gametes fuse with the egg cell or oosphere, causing fertilization, as a result of which diploid zygote form, and this is first fertilization or synagamy. The other male gametes fuse with the secondary nucleus, forming the triploid endosperm nucleus, which later on gives rise to endosperm. It is triple fusion or second fertilization. Thus, this process of fertilization, which occurs twice in the same embryo sac at a time by two male gametes, is double fertilization. Diploid zygote develops into embryo, which subsequently develops into new plant. Now, post-fertilization changes. The post-fertilization events include development of embryo and endosperm, maturation of ovules into seeds and ovary into fruit. First, development of embryo. The zygote divides transversely to produce two-celled proembryo. It consists of a large cell called basal cell and a small cell called terminal cell. The basal cell divides transversely to form a row of 7 to 10 cells called suspensor. The uppermost cell of suspensor enlarges in size and attaches the suspensor to the tip of the embryo sac. And the lowermost cell of the suspensor give rise to a part of radicle. After division, they give rise to embryonal mass, hard shape, and then finally mature embryo. Then development of endosperm. In angiosperms, the endosperm formation takes place soon after the fusion of one of the two male gametes with the secondary nucleus. It is called triple fusion or second fertilization. After this, the diploid secondary nucleus gets converted into a triploid primary endosperm nucleus, that is PEN. It then undergoes a number of free nuclear mitotic divisions to form the endosperm of the seed. The endosperm may be nuclear, cellular, or halobial type. Along with the development of embryo and endosperm, a series of changes occur in the ovule and ovary to form seeds and fruits. Then, parthenocarpy. It is the production and development of seedless fruits. In some plants, fruits are formed even in the absence of pollination and fertilization. These are always seedless, succulent, and more desirable than normal seed-containing fruits. Parthenocarpy is of two types. One, natural, where the seedless fruits are produced in the absence of pollination and fertilization. Example, banana. Then induced parthenocarpy. Here, seedless fruits are produced by spraying the flowers with growth-promoting hormones such as indole acetic acid, IAA, naphthalene acetic acid, NAA, gibberellic acid, GA, etc. For example, tomato produces seedless fruits if treated with auxin, while grape vine forms seedless fruits when treated with gibberellin. Then, apomixis. It is an asexual mode of reproduction in which new individuals are formed without formation of gametes and their fusion. Rapid development of new hybrid varieties is possible due to apomixis. Then, polyembryony. It is the presence of more than one embryo in the seed. It occurs due to the presence of more than one egg cell in the embryo sac or more than one embryo sac in the ovule, and all the egg cells may get fertilized. Example, onion, groundnut. Significance of seeds and fruits in angiosperms. The distribution and dominance of angiosperms on the earth is due to seeds. Success of seeds as propagule is due to following characteristics. 1. Dormancy. It is the temporary suspension of growth. 2. Viability. It is the functional ability of seeds to germinate after considerable dormancy period. Reserve food. Fully developed embryo is nourished by food stored in either endosperm or cotyledons during germination of seed. Then protective coat. It gives protection against the mechanical shocks, fluctuations in temperature and dry conditions. Then dispersal. Some seeds produce various structures which are helpful in transportation to distant places. Edible fruits. Many fruits are consumed by different organisms and seeds are thrown. Thus, development of fruits and seeds plays significant role in the spread of the species.